Welcome to the podcast where mental health is at the core of what we focus on. We strive to develop people like you to maximize who you are and what you've been called to do by sharing tools and resources for better brain health. And now here's your host, Juan Garcia.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. If you're new, thank you so much for joining us. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing this information with those close to you, your friends, your coworkers. And if you are a returner, thank you for following us, subscribing. Thank you for the information that you give us as feedback. We have been receiving comments, emails, and also some of the clients that I meet with that are telling us how powerful these episodes are. So we really appreciate you. This podcast is brought to you by our Mind Yours online store. So if you have not checked it out, please check us out online. We have a store. The link to that store is in the description below, as well as the books that we have. Our latest book, I Said to Myself, you can find in Barnes & Noble, Amazon. We have the actual paperback. It's a small book. You can get through it pretty quickly. We also have it in ebook format. So please consider supporting us, partner with us. All of that is in the description box below. You can just consider being a partner of ours so we can continue to spread this topic of mental health, which is so crucial, not just the time that we're living in with uncertainty, unrest, and all of these things that compound how we feel, but just in general, we have to have mental health in order for all of the other aspects of ourselves to be healthy. So thank you so much for your support and consideration. Now, we have been talking about false beliefs, which again, it's basically what I wrote about. I said to myself, false beliefs that won't let me breathe, because I really believe that our life goes in the direction of our thoughts. And our thoughts are influenced by the things that we feel. We can have a thought and we can ruminate in that thought process. And when we actually start to make it a belief, we have core beliefs that substantiate that thought. Then we apply emotions. And when we apply that emotion, we start to feel that this thought that we started with is actually real. And the problem with this is that we are kind of biased when we go into this process of checking to see if the thought that we initiated all this process with is actually a true thought. It's a legitimate thought. And so we've been going through these elements of how to change these false beliefs that we've actually subscribed to. And it's all based on our core belief system or our belief system. We all have a belief system. We all subscribe to a belief system because this is what gives us the motivation to do what we do, to say what we say, to initiate relationships in which we are involved in, to get the careers or the path of careers that we follow. All of these decisions that we make are based out of our belief system. And we've been discussing the different elements, and we started with the element of a belief. You start with an actual belief. Now, just because you have a belief doesn't mean that that belief is true. You have to process that belief with evidence to substantiate whether that belief is true or not. And we do that with the second element, which is core beliefs. And these core beliefs are surrounding this belief to say, is this belief supported? Does it have a supporting cast to substantiate whether it's true or not? Excuse me. And when we do that, then we apply an emotion, which is the third element. And an emotion is where we start to feel the evidence of the reality of this belief. Now, again, just because you feel it doesn't mean that it's true, doesn't mean that it's accurate. It could be filtered by an experience that we had. It could be filtered by a stereotype that we subscribe to, a prejudice that we may be dealing with. Remember that our belief system is also affected by our environment, the way we are raised, the core values that are instilled in us by our parents or the adults that were part of our upbringing. Now, I know many of you didn't have either parents, you went through foster care, and you had, a system, so to speak, that pretty much raised you. Different adults, different people in your life that raised you. Some were adopted and had adults or parents that eventually also raised you. So we have different types of environments in which we grew into, which developed us. So your core values are those of which surround your belief system to say this is why you believe what you believe. Now, the reason why we're doing these episodes with false beliefs is because I've experienced and I've learned personally that just because I have a belief system and core values that point to the reason why I have these belief system doesn't mean that the beliefs that I subscribe to are actually true. And we've used examples, and if you want to check out the previous episodes, we are now in part 4. So you want to make sure that you go through the previous episodes so you can catch up if you haven't done so and understand the basis as to why we're implementing these elements. But it is important to note that just because you have a belief system and you subscribe to a specific belief does not make it true. We can live our lives based out of false beliefs. And this is why I believe that this podcast is so important, because we unmask, we reveal, we take the lid off of these inaccuracies in our lives that we've been living by. Now you may say, how is it possible that I've been living all my life and you're going to tell me that I've had a false belief? That's exactly what I'm saying. And again, I wrote a book about it. You can check it out, and it'll give you specific false beliefs that I was living by, which affected my behavior. And this is why it's important that we're going through these specific elements, because a lot of times as a society, we focus on behavior. Such and such had, a failure. Such and such did this to their parents, did this to their wife, to their husband. We have these reactions to behavior that we hear or that we see, and we don't necessarily go to the root cause of why this behavior was actually done. And so we want to make sure that you're looking at the belief system that you subscribe to and check the filtering process, the elements, and see if this belief that you subscribe to is actually a true belief or is based out of a false belief. Now, the fourth element that I want to bring to you today is the element of faith. This is not the faith that we may be thinking about in terms of religion or a specific, doctrine that we may be thinking about. It's actually the power of conviction. And what I mean by that is that you and I have the power to be convicted by a belief that we subscribe to. And again, it starts to build the case why we believe what we believe. One of the exercises that I help individuals with in my private practice is that I tell them, you have to be able to take that thought that you struggle with and put it on trial. And as you put that thought on trial, you have to have enough evidence to substantiate your case. And if you don't have enough evidence, then you must dismiss the charges, so to speak. You must eliminate that thought. You must not embrace that thought as a good thought, as a real thought. It is a thought that it will lead to a potential false belief. So if you have enough evidence, then you can say, yes, this thought is good, it's true, I must allow this thought to go through my belief system. But if the thought has no evidence, there's nothing circumstantial, whatever, if there is no evidence, that thought has no room in your mind, in your heart, and in your life, and you must get rid of it. It's a pretty cool tool. I have a whole form. Again, all of this resource is available to you. You just have to reach out and I can send it to you. Also, if you want to actually have a session with me and sit and we can discuss and create a plan, we offer many different methods to help individuals specifically with thought processes. We do cognitive behavioral therapy. We do mindfulness behavioral therapy. We do different methods that we can use. We help individuals with OCD, and basically all of this has to do with your relationship between your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior. So please don't hesitate. Reach out. Let's just sit down. Let's discuss what we can do. If you're not in the local area, in the New York City area where you can come to my office, we can always do a telehealth, a Zoom, Skype. Through Psychology Today, we have HIPAA compliant and confidential way of video conferencing. So everything is secured. Please reach out so that we can provide the support and the resources you need to have mental health. Now, let's go back to the faith aspect. When we apply faith to a thought, after we've applied core beliefs and after we've applied an emotion, for example, if we think that, let's say my belief is that I am right. I'm going into a situation and this situation demands my competency and I believe that I am right. That's a belief. Then I add to it the emotion of pride because I'm right. Well, the faith, the power of conviction that I have to apply to that thought, to that belief, to that emotion is what produces this sense of pride that now I walk around with. And so eventually that's going to lead to behavior that may be destructive, that may be unhealthy. That's why we need to go through all these elements so that we make sure that as we approach our belief system, it is being approached in a healthy way. Now, I wrote down some notes because obviously, we get these ideas and, I don't always have them fresh in my young mind. Here's some of the thoughts that I wrote down in terms of the faith or power of conviction for this. It is certainty, confidence, or knowing. Now, keep in mind that thoughts by themselves are empty. This is very important. Thoughts, when they come in, we can have all sorts of thoughts. They're empty. They have no value in them of themselves. They have no value. But when we apply faith, which is the power of conviction, this is the kind of conviction in a certain thought, like I am worthless, right? Well, when we apply the conviction and we believe that it's true that I am worthless, then that generates a worthlessness. So forth and so on. Just like if I am right, well, that generates pride, right? So the conviction that we put behind our thinking is part of our personal power that we need or we can use to take out of a convincing idea. So, in other words, if I have this thought that I am right that has produced or generated pride, now I have the power to either believe that so that I can live that way, or I have the power to say, well, wait a second, this is not healthy, this is not accurate. Let me revisit the different elements of my belief system and how I'm measuring, what's true, what's false. We have the power to do that. And the way we do that is that we apply skepticism or doubt to a thought. Wait a minute, I'm not always right. How can I even believe that? Now you might be saying, wow, there are people out there that believe that they're right. Yeah, you may be one of them. I mean, let's face it. Who wants to admit that they're wrong? It's not natural. Now, the older I've gotten, the wiser obviously I've gotten, not because I'm smart, but because I've made so many mistakes. And those mistakes have created potential or experiences for me to learn from. And my choice has been to learn from them so I don't repeat them. And that has given me wisdom. And so now the things that I thought before, for example, that I am right, that led to pride, and pride would create a wall that would not allow people to speak into my life. Now that wall has crumbled because I applied skepticism and doubt to the very idea that I am right. I'm hoping that's making sense. And if you're having difficulty, type in the comment section. Let me know. I can send you more information to make sure that it's clarified for you, because I believe that this whole concept of false beliefs can change someone's life. I had someone in my office yesterday where we were discussing some of the issues that they're facing. And when we talked about this belief system and we started talking about false beliefs, immediately you saw the light bulb come on. And the person went directly in a time in their life where they actually can see themselves believing this lie that they've lived with. So you see the power that this has when we tune in and when we are open to saying there's potential for me to be believing something that's not even true. It changes our lives. And so make sure that you understand that the way we do that, the way we can start to identify whether this belief is true or false, is that we make it go through skepticism. We apply skepticism and we apply doubt to that thought to substantiate, wait a minute, this thought cannot be true. This thought cannot be proven correct or true. This thought is not healthy. This thought is destructive. This thought is false. And this thought now becomes a false belief that I have been subscribing to. And so I need to understand, I need to remove it from my life. I need to uproot it. And now I'm going to replace truth to it. So if I am believing that I am right, which has produced pride in me, which has produced this type of behavior of arrogance, of you can't tell me anything. Now I'm adding skepticism or applying skepticism to it and doubt. And now I'm open to lovely rebuke. I'm open to being held accountable. And now I replace that false belief with the truth of accountability, with the truth of I'm still learning, with the truth of I need to be open to hearing from those that have earned the right to speak into my life so that I can make better choices with my life. I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to leave it there. I know it's a lot of information. Again, I have so much information that I want to share with you. I have worksheets. I have so many different resources that I know can give you the edge as to getting a hold and a grip on what we're trying to learn here with false beliefs. Stay tuned to our continued episodes in this topic. We have a lot more to come. If you have not subscribed, just remind you real quick, please subscribe, help us out. Let us get to the place where we can continue to spread this message through crisis, through good times. We want to make sure that people are learning skills for mental health and peak performance. Help us, partner with us, get your merch. We have so many cool things out there. We have masks for those of you that still want variety in your mask display. You can get a mask with the logo Mind Yours, and you can have a conversation with, hey, what's that? Well, that's promoting mental health, and I know that it's going to be a blessing. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. For more information, visit our website at juangarciaenterprises.com. Our host, Juan Garcia, is available for speaking, coaching, and one-on-one counseling. You can email us at info@juangarciaenterprises.com. Until next time, remember, we only have one mind, so mind yours.